I have a feeling this book is going to be the #1 beach read this summer. It's Memorial Day weekend when I'm filming this, which is of course the unofficial start of summer, so I feel compelled to create this video for anyone looking for beachy book recs for those loungy summer days. I cannot wait for those. This video is for you if you like books that feel like sunshine, books that keep you locked in, that keep your attention. There's a lot of romance on this list, but I do love a good mystery book while I'm on a beach. So I have some of those as well. As always, I will timestamp and link everything I talk about. And I also posted this on my blog, which goes a little bit more in depth on the synopsis of each book. If that's what you're looking for, I will link my blog in the description as well. It would quite frankly be criminal to create a list of beach reads without mentioning Emily Henry. One of her most famous books is literally called Beach Read, which I didn't actually put on this list, but obviously does make a good beach read. Her writing is so descriptive and has the ability to just make you feel completely transported into her stories. My personal favorite Emily Henry book takes place in a small town called Sunshine Falls in August. There's something about a small town setting to me that feels like summer. Is that weird? I don't know. I think it reminds me of going to like small towns in Michigan and Indiana and Wisconsin in the summers when I was a kid. But the book that I'm referring to is, of course, Book Lovers. I truly loved this book, and I feel kind of cheated that this was my first Emily Henry book because nothing else yet has measured up. This is about Nora, who's a literary agent who goes to Sunshine Falls for his sister's trip, and she runs into Charlie, who is a book editor that she knows from New York City. They keep running into each other in this small town. You find out why he's in this small town, of course, and they're just forced to spend time together, and we get to see how that all unfolds. It's amazing. I think you have to add it to your list if you're gonna be going to a beach, a pool, anywhere loungy, anywhere relaxing this summer. I think it's a must read. My second favorite Emily Henry book is Funny Story. As a Midwest girl, any mention of Michigan, like I mentioned, immediately brings me back to summers spent on a lake, eating cherries, being tan, being a kid, having no responsibilities. This book just had everything I was looking for in an Emily Henry novel. Humor, heart, her incredibly descriptive scenery that like makes you feel like you're there. The banter, the tension, the romance is excellent, and the forced proximity trope is one of my favorites. Actually, forced proximity is my favorite. This book is about Daphne, who's dumped by her fiance, Peter. She moved to a lakeside town for Peter, so now she's stuck there trying to figure out her life without him. Peter dumped her for the girl he said not to worry about, Petra, who dumps her boyfriend, Miles, to be with Peter. What a fucking mess, okay? But as fate would have it, Miles and Daphne end up becoming roommates and partners in crime against their dumbass exes, and maybe they're into each other, maybe they're not. I won't give anything away. I have a feeling this book is gonna be the #1 beach read this summer. This is the last Emily Henry book that I'll talk about in this video, I swear, but it's her most recent release, and it takes place on a little island, and it's probably gonna be on the New York Times bestseller list all summer long. I have not read this book yet. #1, because I've been busy. Really busy. #2 is I've heard mixed reviews, and I'm a little scared. I get nervous when an author that I love releases something that I'm not seeing necessarily great things about. I just DNF'd an Abby Jimenez book, Say You'll Remember Me, and that was very jarring and traumatizing for me. So I will be reading this book just probably a little bit later in the summer. And if you have read it, let us know what you thought in the comments. Another author who writes the perfect summer beach reads is Abby Jimenez. Her most recent release, Say You'll Remember Me, as I mentioned, you know how I feel about that one. It just wasn't it for me. So I personally don't actually recommend that one if you're starting out on your Abby Jimenez journey. I would recommend Part of Your World. I honestly think about Part of Your World all the time. I might do a reread of it this summer. It's a classic like big city girl, small town boy romance, but the tension, the romance, the MMC, it's so good. It's the beginning of the Part of Your World series, which is 3 interconnected standalone romances. And I love an interconnected series, but I think Part of Your World was still my favorite of the 3. So this is about Alexis, who's a hotshot big city ER doctor who comes from a super rich, very powerful, like all doctor family and has a legacy that she's expected to uphold in her family. But when her car breaks down in a small town, she meets Daniel, who's 10 years younger than her. He's hot, he's a carpenter, and he loves animals. I mean, like, What did we expect her to do? Not fall in love with him? No. They have a one-night fling that Alexis is convinced will never work because of her big responsibilities. There's a lot of back and forth, but it's not like the miserable miscommunication trope. It's more like realistic adult conversations about how do we mesh two very different lives together. Gorgeous book, loved it. Must read, in my opinion, for like a feel-good beachy book. Pivoting to another popular beach read author, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Let's start with my favorite of hers, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because I'm just a girl, okay? Of course, that's my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. This story follows the scandalous life of Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo, who's most famous for her 7 marriages. So she hires a completely unknown journalist to tell her story, which raises a lot of questions for us as readers, but also for the people in the story, like why she would pick somebody completely unknown. There's drama, there's mystery. It's a complete page turner. Like, I could not put it down. If you've never read anything by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I recommend starting here. Another really popular Taylor Jenkins Reid book, which was also adapted to an Amazon Prime TV show, is Daisy Jones and the Six. This book does have some more like heavy topics, so check the trigger warnings before you read it. But for me, the key to a good beach read is a book that I feel like I cannot put down. And this book had that for me. Like, I just want to be completely immersed while I'm on a beach. I want to feel like I can't step out of this world. And I really did feel like that with Daisy Jones and the Six. This book unravels the story of the rise and fall of a rock band in the 70s. So I just loved the nostalgic setting, the drama. If you like celebrity drama and pop culture like me, this book would be perfect for you. And the final Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I'm going to mention that I think makes a great beach read is Malibu Rising. This one for me wasn't as like page turning and addicting as the other two I just mentioned, but the setting is so perfect for a beach read, obviously. This book is about a glamorous Malibu family who throws an epic summer party every year. But this year, the party ends with the house going up in flames. So a lot of drama, like again, sort of mystery as to why this happened. It's a gorgeous setting, and in my opinion, it was like a quick and pretty easy read, which are all checks on the list of like what I look for in a beach read. The next book I want to talk about is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This was one of my unexpectedly favorite reads of 2024. If you're a fantasy book lover and haven't dived into the world of magical realism yet, you should definitely give it a shot. This book had everything that I love about romance books, but also a magical aspect. And I love magical realism because it makes me feel like one day I'm gonna stumble upon magic in this boring ass world. Like a girl can dream, you know? So picture this. Imagine your apartment randomly lets you time travel, but only 7 years into the past. That's what happens to Clementine in this story. One minute, she's just in her apartment grieving the death of her aunt. The next, she's face to face with a man who's not supposed to be in her timeline. It's just like surprisingly emotional. This was such a page turner for me. I simply could not put it down. Now, if you're not as into romance as me, I always find mystery books to be also the perfect beach reads because the good ones always keep me locked in. So here are some mysteries that I also love. If you haven't watched The Perfect Couple on Netflix, you should pick up this book ASAP. It's summer in Nantucket, a rich family planning a wedding at their gorgeous waterfront property. Lots of secrets and little side plots, and a body turns up in the harbor right before the wedding. It's a good whodunit, and the idyllic backdrop of this like perfect family in this perfect place is such a fun contrast to the murder mystery of it all. The next book isn't exactly an idyllic setting for beachiness, but it's a really addicting and like quick and easy read. Lucy Foley books for me are often very hit or miss, but The Guest List is my favorite book of hers, hands down. We have another fancy wedding on an island. There might be a theme, but this time it's on a remote island in Ireland. It's a fancy celebrity wedding, but a storm befalls the island and there's no cell service, no way out, and a dead body appears, which puts everyone on edge because someone on the island did it, and everyone else knows that they're stuck with a murderer since nobody can leave. All the guests have major secrets that they're hiding that are like integral to the plot instead of just being red herrings to make the mystery more interesting. If you like multiple POV books, this one would be great for you. And like most Lucy Foley books, it has a really twisty surprising ending. We have to end on an oldie but a goodie with the Queen of Mystery, Miss Agatha Christie. Death on the Nile is one of my favorite books by her. I love her books for beach reading because they're pretty short and the pacing is perfection. I never feel bored reading a mystery that Hercules Poirot is solving. I know, I'll never know how to say his name, okay? The setting of Death on the Nile is a glamorous river cruise through Egypt where wealthy, gorgeous, and newly married Lynette Ridgway is found dead. And basically everyone on the cruise had a motive to kill her. Agatha Christie does these isolation murder mysteries so well. Clearly that's kind of a theme in mysteries that I love. But if you're dipping your toes into Agatha Christie or you love old school mystery vibes, this is a great place to start. So that's it. Happy summer to all of you. Let me know in the comments where you're going to be spending this summer. I'm going to be in Chicago, ideally by a pool whenever I'm not at work. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And I hope you subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.